Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to, not just to Bristol, particularly for those of you who haven't been here before, but welcome to my constituency as well. This is actually, I've spoken in this room on many occasions. This is actually the first time I've spoken here in daylight, and I didn't realise, so the curtains are normally drawn when it's dark, when I've spoken here before. I didn't realise what a magnificent view you have, either way, whichever way you look. It's of my constituency, go to Mary Redcliffe Church over there, arguably. Now you cannot argue about this, the finest parish church in the whole of England. And you don't have to just rely on my word on that. Queen Elizabeth I in England terms, and who knows what become Queen Elizabeth will be after tonight's result, said that this was the fairest and godliest, most beautiful parish church in the whole of England. That was in 1570. So you've got good Queen Bess's word on that. And if you do have time before you head off away from Bristol, do have a look, because it is absolutely magnificent. And the harbour and everything else you can see, if you get bored with listening to me look out the window, the harbour behind is worth a look as well. It's a beautiful sunny September day. So welcome, and I hope you've enjoyed your deliberations so far this morning and this afternoon. And my introductory sentence, you understand ministers have draft speeches written for them by officials, says that it's a particularly exciting time for parish and town councils. Now, in terms of the context of what is happening tonight, I actually think it's an incredibly exciting time, whichever way that the vote goes, and my guess is as good as any of yours on that front. Even if there is a no vote this evening, one thing is for sure, that local government in England will not be the same again after that result goes through. I've always been a localist as a Liberal Democrat, and this coalition government, I think, has had an incredibly good localism agenda of which we can be proud after 4.5 years. I think possibly in the last stages of this Parliament, at the very least, the government and all parties will have to set out a vision of how they want English local government to be completely reinvigorated and given extra powers as a result of what is going to happen one way or another in Edinburgh tonight. Personally, I think this is something we should have faced up to a long time ago. Devolution started in 1999 to Edinburgh and to Cardiff, and later on, thankfully, to Belfast as well. And it's the English question, whether you call it the West Lothian question, the West Glamorgan question, or the West Antrim question, it's probably better just to call it the English question, has never been properly answered. And I think all of us are going to have to answer that over the next few weeks, with more of a role for principal local authorities, but also, I think, therefore, lots of opportunities for you as well. So that rather anodyne first sentence about it being an exciting time, which often speeches start with anyway, is, I think, even more appropriate today. Now, I've been impressed by the positive way that all of you, and through your associations, have actually embraced that localism agenda and taken the opportunity to take the powers that have been laid out there for you. And you have an absolutely crucial role in order to deliver the government's vision for localism, for community rights, and for what the Prime Minister has badged the big society. And town and parish councils provide communities with a democratically accountable voice and structure for taking community action. The Localism Act from 3 years ago now, which all of you will be familiar with, provides a framework that gives parish councils a range of powers to help you address the problems that your local residents wish you to address. But it's you up and down the country that have turned this vision into a reality and have shown what can be achieved, and I think, as I'll say shortly, with lots more potential to achieve even more. So under that Localism Act, your residents, through you, can have more say over what their neighbourhood looks like, what neighbourhood plans can do for them. They might want to protect a local asset. They may think, and you may think, that you could do a better job with running a neighbourhood service in your area. you might wish to work in concert with lots of other people in your parish or your town as well, and get involved in the Our Place programme, or use the opportunities that were in a private members bill from the last Parliament, which I supported at the time with Local Works, the Sustainable Communities Act. So these community rights are there to help you do all of these things. The parishes up and down the country are using these rights, and I've seen many of them myself on visits up and down the country. Officials surveyed parishes last year, and for those of you who responded, and thank you to those who did, and many hundreds of you did so, 57% were doing or were considering taking up a neighbourhood plan. 37% were taking action on listing community assets, and just under a third were working on taking on services from local authorities using the community right to challenge. We are just conducting at the moment a new parish pulse survey to help us to understand what the picture looks like now for town and parishes up and down, town and parish councils up and down the country, and we will use the results of that survey once they've been analysed to see how we can further support you in order to take those rights forward, in particular using the community right to challenge. I suspect I just hit a button, but never mind. Neighbourhood planning in particular, lots of the community rights as I've understood them in theory from the Localism Act, but now how I've seen them in practice around the country as well. I'm excited genuinely by a lot of them, but neighbourhood planning in particular I find particularly interesting, and it's now going from strength to strength. There have been 29 neighbourhood planning referendums around England, all of which have been successful so far, but more to the point, 1,100 areas have applied for designation of their neighbourhood area in order to go ahead with a neighbourhood plan. And you're actually sat slap bang in the middle of one of them at the moment. You're in a neighbourhood in my constituency called Redcliffe, and there is a Redcliffe neighbourhood planning group putting together their neighbourhood plan, and just alongside this community there's the Old Market neighbourhood plan, which I was helping with before I became the Minister too. So you're seeing neighbourhood planning literally through the windows around you at the moment. The only difference is, because this is an urban area, there are communities that have to self-designate themselves, but they don't yet have the advantage that we're hoping to make easier, and I'll come to this, of having that democratic layer, that parish layer at the city level. And in those referendums that have taken place, the yes vote has on average been an absolutely resounding 80%, and in some areas at truly North Korean levels of 90%. It says here, this really is democracy in action. I have wondered when I get the text message from the department, usually on a Friday morning, about these neighbourhood planning results. I just wonder, whether there was much of an opportunity for people to campaign against. But there has been, and I've seen on some of the visits I've done, that there have been people opposed to what was taking place. So there certainly has been an opportunity to people to express their action, to express their opinion. And I've enjoyed many of the visits that I've done around the country. I don't know whether I've been to any of yours, but the one, apart from the two urban ones I've just mentioned in my own seat that I visited recently, was a good example too of cooperation in between parishes. Most of these neighbourhood plans are a single parish acting in its own right, but Freshford and Limpley Stoke, for those of you who know your local West Country geography will know that Freshford is in what used to be the county of Avon, and I used to be an Avon county councillor, so I miss Avon, just to make a controversial point, possibly to some of you. And Limpley Stoke is a finger of Wiltshire that protrudes straight into what used to be Avon, or what is now Bath and North East Somerset. But these two parishes, and you really can't tell when you're going round the area, and I went round with the chairman of both parish councils on this visit. They jointly drove me around. You can't tell if you're not from there, whether you're in Freshford or Limply-Stoke at any particular point of time, because the county boundary and the parish boundary therefore weaves around quite a bit. But they've come together to do a joint local plan. I think that was incredibly innovative too, and both Bath and North East Somerset and Wiltshire were fully supporting them in terms of what they were doing, and they'd set up a village shop too, and if you ever visit that area, I can recommend the cakes, which, as my officials know, that is the way to get through to my home. Last Thursday, the parish of Chadsley Corbett voted strongly in favour of their referendums. That's the most recent one that's taken place. But today, there isn't just a vote involving 4 million people, 4 million adults north of the border. The parish of Bilsden in Harborough in Leicestershire will also be going ahead with their neighbourhood planning referendum. And I'm sure in Leicestershire that will be big news. And I don't say that entirely as a joke. It has been encouraging how much interest there has been in some of these neighbourhood plans around the country. I visited another one in Leicestershire, which was the first in the East Midlands, and officials told me there wouldn't be much interest. And when we pulled around the corner into the village hall, we were met by a bank of flashing cameras and TV cameras, and the BBC were reporting it as the lead item on whatever the East Midlands news programme is called that evening. So a lot of people know about these plans now, and hopefully many more will take place around the country. One of our other community rights is what is called technically the community right to bid, but I usually describe it to people at campaign groups who I talk to, including NALC and other people like CAMRA and Supporters Direct and the Theatres Trust, as the opportunity to list an asset that is important to a particular community. And 1,500 assets have now been listed under this community right to bid, and that demonstrates what those of us who are or have been local councillors know, that our residents, our constituents, are often very, very attached to particular buildings or sites in their neighbourhood, and certainly come up with a campaign whenever they're under threat. And some of the most popular uses of this listing of assets have been the last remaining, which is usually the story, the last remaining village pub, or the village post office, or the village shop. And I went to a really interesting one in Oxfordshire just before Christmas. And if you were to Google Stephen Williams and neighbourhood rights on the BBC website for the Daily Politics, I made a film with the Daily Politics showing how community rights had been taken up by different parishes in Oxfordshire, including the town council in Tame. Now, these rights are all very well, and people often say this: you can list an asset, but if there is a threat to it, then you have to raise the money to protect it as well. That is absolutely true. But another community sort of power or opportunity that I'm very keen on is people to raise money for themselves in their local community. So we have been supporting the community shares units that run for us by the co-op. So often these pubs are saved not simply because of their planning designation and the local plans, not just because they've been listed as a local asset, but people coming together and raising money either through a community company or through a community cooperative in order to run the pub into the future. So whether it's pubs, shops, sports facilities, community centres, football stadiums, large and small, ones that all of us would have heard of, Old Trafford and Anfield, have been listed as community assets, but much smaller ones have been listed as well, along with many green spaces up and down the country. Now, as I said, there are 1,500 of them listed at the moment. One thing that continues to puzzle me is that no one can give me the answer to this question. Maybe someone in this room can. How many town and parish councils are there? And I'm told it's around about just under 10,000, because I've asked you before, and you're not entirely sure how many parish councils there are either. But my challenge to you is that a lot of these assets have been listed around the country, whether they're in cities, whether they're in London, some in parishes. If every single one of you were inspired to go back to your parish or your town after today and to look at what is important to your residents in your village or your town and think, could something actually happen to jeopardise that pub, that village hall, that town hall, whatever it happens to be? We'll get 21 people together, that's all you need, and put in a listing application to the district council or to the unitary council and get it listed. Because waiting until a threat emerges is too late. It's a proactive opportunity to get those assets listed now. So that would be a fantastic demonstration of community rights really taken off, and you could help drive that process in your towns and villages around the country. Now, a third community right that comes from the Localism Act is the community right to challenge. And that's an opportunity for you or other groupings to get a fair hearing for a proposal you have to run a service better than the person who currently runs it, which often will be one of the local authorities. You can submit an expression of interest to run a service. The local authority then has to respond to it. And if they don't accept your challenge that you could run it better, they do have to justify that decision. But if they do accept it, they will then carry out a procurement exercise in which you can bid to run the service. And again, I'm very keen that small, locally responsive bodies, whether they are parish councils or whether they are a local social enterprise, really embrace this opportunity to do everything from grounds maintenance to mending fences or maintenance of benches in an area. Doing it at the local level rather than waiting for the rota on the massive contract that the local authority has in place is an opportunity for all of you all to work with a social enterprise that operates in your particular area. And in particular, if that social enterprise is working with people who need a route back or route first time into employment as well. I'm particularly keen on social enterprises that work with those who've been out of education training for far too long, or maybe are coping with an addiction or some other social problem. Now, on a bigger scale than that, we're also particularly proud of our Place programme, which some of you will be taking part in. The Our Place way of working means putting the community at the heart of decision making and bringing together the right people, councillors, public servants and officials, businesses, voluntary and community organisations and the community themselves. I'll now press the right button to change delivery and revolutionise the way a neighbourhood works. We started off with 12 pilot neighbourhood areas, and at that point the scheme was called Neighbourhood Community Budgets. And these included areas where the parish council was actually playing the leading role. And some of you may know Councillor Von Ley from Ilfracombe, who I've seen speak and shared a platform with on several occasions now, evangelising for the Our Place programme. And the one Ilfracombe town team was launched in March this year with the aim of creating a safer, cleaner and greener town. And that town team in Ilfracombe is made up of 40 members of different public services that operate in Ilfracombe, but brought together by the parish council. And they join forces to improve the services they offer and to work together to tackle any issue that undermines the environment in Ilfracombe. And some of you, have any of you actually heard Von Ley talking about this in the Our Place programme? Because we're rolling out a sort of network of champions. And again, this is something that we think has enormous opportunity. Now, to switch to somewhere completely different from the North Devon coast to North Westminster, instead to Queen's Park, which I visited a few months ago. This was another pilot neighbourhood where the Queen's Park Association have co-designed local children's services with the community. But what is really interesting there is that Queen's Park this year elected the first parish council to be created in London for many decades. And we've now put in funding for 120 areas, so we've a tenfold increase in this programme of Our Place. So, for example, Way with Hinkshill in Kent, where the parish council are aiming to create an age-inclusive community through promoting opportunities for younger and older people to mix, and thinking about new ways for communities to support, care and enable people to remain as independent in their own homes for as long and for as much as possible. Another example would be Ventnor in the Isle of Wight, which is taking an ambitious whole-town approach looking at a range of issues from employment to the environment and health and well-being. There are many, many other examples in this sort of suite of Our Place programmes that are underway. We want all of these examples to inspire you to think how you could lead change locally. The Sutton Town Council referendum group are using the Our Place approach to campaign for a new town council in their area and to see what the extent of the potential council's remit should be. And I'm aware also that another Sutton, but Sutton Coalfield, has a campaign to have a new town council as part of the city of Birmingham in its area. I only mention that because it's not in my script, because as I was parking outside, a little fact about the Scottish referendum came up that apparently if the Scots leave us, Sutton Coalfield will now be the new geographical centre of the residual United Kingdom, so that will be one other accolade for them to campaign for. I'm sure other people will be disputing that big compass point if it really comes to it. Now, it says here, if all of this sounds complicated, I hope it doesn't sound at all complicated, a lot of it is actually quite straightforward. But we have put in place quite a lot of resources and certainly quite a lot of money as well in helping locality to enable and explain all of these opportunities to anyone who wants to take them up. We've published a You've Got the Power booklet, which is available in booklet form, but it's also, of course, available on the government website and on the mycommunityrights.org.uk, mycommunityrights.org.uk, if you want to have a look at it. That has a lot of resources to explain some of these issues as well. You also don't just have powers that are under the Localism Act, but also for powers of the Localism Act I've just described, but also have what I think at the time was Clause 2 of the Localism Act, the general power of competence, which is available to confirm for all local authorities, including yourself. And this includes, at your level, the power to trade. And we very much want you to consider whether that is something you want to take up, if it will be of benefit to local communities. We are also trying to help more parishes to function and to be set up, including streamlining some of the bureaucracy that you have to face. So we've removed the two-signature rule governing parish payments and have now given you the opportunity of using electronic payments too. And I know this is slightly controversial, but I'm going to steer right into now, but it's in this digital world. Social media, filming, taking photographs, are a feature of all of our daily lives, and I know there have been some tweets about this conference already today. So in the openness of local government bodies regulations laid this year, we're making it quite clear to all local authorities, whatever level they are, that the public do have a right to see what's going on. They do have a right to broadcast and comment on what's going on from the public gallery in that council chamber. So blogging and tweeting should become a normal part of council life, just in the same way as reporting Parliament's activities has been normal for quite a long time. We've also made it clear, because people have been worried about this, that councillors are completely free to share their views with the public and in the press, and can join in any action by speaking up and championing community issues. There's also, as I mentioned earlier, the Sustainable Communities Act, and this has now been extended to parish councils who are able to come forward with proposals for change at a local area. We're also, as I said, it is not known exactly how many parish councils there are. Apparently it's 9,900 and something, but we don't know quite what it is. But if lots of new ones were created, then maybe we could say safely over 10,000. I think there are lots of opportunities, particularly in urban areas. Coming back to that example of Queen's Park in Westminster, for people to set up new parish councils in urban areas. In particular, possibly, in this way, parish of Redcliffe, which is now putting together its neighbourhood plan, and the vicar of that beautiful church is very much involved in that neighbourhood plan. Maybe a new civic parish of Redcliffe will be created. But we're making it easier, and we're working on laying the regulations shortly for campaigners to set up local parish and town councils. We're helping 17 campaigns with NALC and county associations at the moment, and we're aware of 30 that are live around the country. Now, I know that you face lots of challenges, and I'm always open to feedback from members and from your association as to the issues that you think we should take up in order to help you make your role even more effective. So finally, the question that it says here that I have to ask you, I'll play it my own way, is what do you want to do? Now that's not a very good way to end a speech with such an open question like that. But I think the basic point I'm trying to say to you is that the government has put in place an awful lot of new tools in the toolbox. So there's the Localism Act 2011, and there's the Sustainable Communities Act as well. But it's up to you, in particular, to grab those tools and think how you can use them to shape a better community tomorrow. All of us come into public life for a whole variety of reasons, but if you're a parish or a town councillor, I would imagine the reason you're in public life, why you put your head above that parapet, is because you think your town and parish could be an even better place to live in the future. But maybe have frustrated the powers and opportunities that you would like to have weren't there in the past. Well, an awful lot of new ones are now in place. It is still early days in terms of people taking those up. So I would encourage you to lift the lid on that toolbox, see what you find attractive, and go back to your communities and use them for the benefit of your local residents. Thanks for listening.